All right, all right, all right. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. What's good with music? Hello. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in to the Self Checkout Show. I am your host, Pastor Will, and I'm glad to see you tonight. I am here. We are here. Good evening, Mom. How are you? We are here doing what we do, and it is a blessing to be with you all tonight. To my viewers by way of Facebook, YouTube Live, Twitter, wherever you're watching from, thank you, thank you, thank you for viewing. And of course, as we say every week, to our replay viewers, which we have some faithful replay viewers who watch us every week, we want to say thank you as well. We appreciate you tonight. All right, guys, you know what we do. Come on, let's share, share, share. May is on. How you doing? I miss you too, of course. I'm glad to see that you are all right. Please share this broadcast tonight. We're going to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is grief and how to handle grief. We've talked about it before, but it was in a private setting on a Zoom. But I'm going to be open and transparent and let you know my story. And I hope it really, really does somebody some good. So share this and tag somebody that you know that's struggling in the area of grief. Tag them and have them join you on this live tonight. Lady Lakeisha Sanders, how are you? How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. Tell Pastor Twan I said, hey. All right, guys. So let's get into some announcements. Well, we don't have many announcements tonight, but I do want to say that a member of my church passed away, unfortunately, and Brother Ernie, he passed away, and that is, of course, you all may know my producer Charlotte. That is her brother-in-law, and of course, that's our SD of my church. That is our sound guy's brother. That's Mike's brother. His big brother passed away, and that service is going to be held, or there'll be a viewing this Friday at Woodruff Funeral Home, and that is 16774 Dixie Highway in Hazel Crest. And that viewing is going to be from 3 until 7 p.m. Friday. And then on Saturday morning, the actual homegoing service for Ernie is going to be at the Hopewell Primitive Baptist Church in Chicago. That is 1400 South Colon Avenue. And that's going to be from 11 until 1 p.m. And if you are coming to that service, please know that masks are mandatory. You must have your mask on for that funeral service. So we are definitely going to be there to support Mike and Charlotte. They are an intricate part of our ministry and an intricate part of my life. They are people that I care about deeply. I love them. They are the parents to my godson. So we will definitely be there to support and love on and serve that family on this Saturday morning. Good evening, Sister Denise. How are you? How are you? Glad to see you. Come on, guys. Let's share. Let's share. Let's share. And let's talk about what's going on today. What's going on today? This is a segment where we talk about current events and trending topics. And we have one today that is going to blow y'all away. But before we tell you about that story, today is National Evaluate Your Life Day. National Evaluate Your Life Day. When was the last time you evaluated your life? I'm being honest, I haven't done it lately. I don't think. No. Have you? You know how you used to sit down and write out a 5-year plan? Sister Sandy, good to see you. Good evening. I used to do that. I used to write out 5-year plans. Nothing never really came of it. I would write it down. I would start towards those goals, but somehow that paper ended up in the trash somewhere. But anyway, today is National Evaluate Your Life Day, and it's also National New Friends Day. And let me tell you about that. New friends. Listen, I would rather buy a 5-pound bag of sugar and count those cubes one by one before I start hooking up with a whole bunch of new friends. We ain't doing all that. I got some good ones right now. No, look, Lady Commissioner said no new friends. No way. You cannot sit with us. No. I have a hard enough time dealing with these knuckleheads I got right now. But today is also National New Friends Day. No new friends. Do y'all need new friends? I don't need any new friends. I do not. I don't need them. Because if you know these creeps that I got right now, and I'm gonna call their names out: Dr. Nancy, Martise, John, RJ, Melanie, especially those are my travel buddies, my travel friends. I don't need nobody else because those give me headaches. I want y'all to know, and you can tell them I said that. See, Charlotte's my friend. Charlotte don't give me no headache, but them other ones, but I love them dearly, and I wouldn't trade them for nothing in this world. So yes, today Kamisha, Lord have mercy. Will you tell the people? I got my hands full with them creeps. But I love each and every one of them dearly, and they know that, and they love me too. All right, what else is going on in our trending topics today? Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, Halloween is right around the corner. I know that's John's favorite holiday. It's right around the corner, and if you plan on dressing up as Jeffrey Dahmer for Halloween this year, don't do it. Don't do it. According to BuzzFeed.com, eBay has banned the sale of costumes inspired by the serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer in the run-up to Halloween for violating its policy on violence and violent criminals. Wow. A spokesperson confirmed to BuzzFeed News that the selling platform was actively removing these listings and that they were prohibited, although some listings are still active at the time of publication. Items that have been posted on eBay include an orange jumpsuit with a mask based on actor Evan Peters' portrayal of Dahmer in the Netflix series, and it also has the glasses that resemble the ones that Jeffrey Dahmer wore. Now, the company policy states that sellers are banned from listing items that promote or glorify violence or are associated with violent individuals or the acts for which they gain notoriety or crimes from the past 100 years. Of course, you guys know Jeffrey Dahmer killed 17 predominantly Black men and boys and engaged in horrific cruelty with their bodies, including necrophilia, cannibalism, and dismemberment. Now, get this. On Amazon, a search for Jeffrey Dahmer costume offers up a pair of glasses similar to the ones he wore during his trial, as well as merchandise appearing to make light of Dahmer's cannibalism, including a T-shirt with the words, "This is horrible," and I quote what this T-shirt says: "If you can't beat them, eat them." And after that, I was done. If you can't beat them, eat them. You know, hey, Kim from Ohio. Good to see you. I think that's absolutely, you know what? I can't even find the right word I want to use. Because who in their right mind would make a shirt promoting, that's what I say it is, or glorifying what Jeffrey Dahmer did. The T-shirt said, "If you can't beat them, eat them." And I think that's sick, and I think it's disgusting, and I think that every platform that has these particular items should indeed be banned from selling those items. And furthermore, why would you even want to dress up for somebody like him for Halloween. I mean, come on, man. It's a whole lot of stuff. Yeah, it is disgusting. Yep, absolutely. Unbelievable. Horrible. Yes, it is. And this is true. These are true stories, guys. Why would you want to dress up as somebody as horrific as that man? I don't know why you would want to. Um, I like to have a little fun on Halloween. I do. We're having a t-shirt costume at my job. Not costume, but a t-shirt contest. You know, kind of who has on the best or funniest Halloween t-shirt. But I bet you one thing, it won't be that shirt. Ain't no way. I would be offended if I saw somebody with that shirt on. So don't I hope that there's nobody out there that is planning on dressing up like Jeffrey Dahmer for Halloween. Let's not do that. All right, guys. We before we get into what we're going to talk about tonight, if you look in your comments, and also Charlotte can have it scrolling across the screen. The ways to sew into WTM is going to be across the screen. And if you look in your comments, I have a link pinned in the comments. It is pay links, and it gives you, if you click that link, it gives you 4 different ways to sow into the ministry. You can do it by our Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, or Zelle. And so if you want to do that, you can sow tonight. You don't have to wait until the end of the broadcast. You can do that right now. And we do certainly appreciate your gifts that you give to WTM. Now, in relation, while I was talking about Jeffrey Dahmer, the family members of the 17 individuals that he killed, you know, were expressing, and rightfully so, they were expressing their disbelief. And, you know, every time they hear that name, you know, it brings back memories of what, not just their loved ones that died, but they were murdered, and how they were murdered and dismembered. And the family members, have to grieve all over again. I cannot imagine having to deal with something like that. And that's what we want to talk about tonight. Our topic tonight is how to deal with grief. And I want to take you guys, I had a moment on Sunday. I was actually the MC for my pastor's appreciation, our first service. And I can't remember how we got to that, but I had a moment where I was able to be honest and transparent for a minute. I didn't tell the full story, but I told just enough. And I do want to share that with you guys. We had, my mom and I, we have had a rough 7-year period, because it was during 7 years that we lost my brother and my sister and my dad. And it was just, you know, really something to go through. And I remember being at work. At the time I was working downtown. I remember being at work, and I think it was my mom called me, and then someone else jumped on the phone saying, "Oh, we got to get to Rockford. My brother, they think my brother passed away, blah, blah, blah." And all of that. So of course I left immediately, and I made it to my mom's house, and we drove up to Rockford, and we got to the hospital there, and we walked in the room where my brother was, and there he laid in the bed, and he was already gone. So, you know, it naturally, and just I'm just talking to you guys tonight. I want to share this with you, and then I'm going to give you some healthy ways, 4 healthy ways to deal with grief. And I'll give you some scriptures too. So I was shocked, and I remember just standing there staring at him and in unbelief. Just I couldn't believe it, And I grabbed his hand, and I took a picture of my hand holding his hand because I wanted to. And I went downstairs. I went downstairs, and I had to get some air. Felt like I was about to pass out. So I came back up, and shortly thereafter, the people, whoever they are, they came and got him and took him out. And my mom and we drove back home, like a 2-hour drive. And I cried initially. Of course I did. But there was still this part of me, in all honesty, that simply could not believe that my brother was gone, right? My mom had 3 children. It was Tony, Tina, Terry. And yes, if you did not know, that is my nickname, Terry. Yes. So Tony, the oldest, is now gone. And now that leaves me and my sister, and of course, my daddy. And so we went through that whole thing of taking care of the business, of, funerals and stuff. And y'all, that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, you got to pick this out. You got to go shopping for clothes, and you got to pick out the casket and pick out the flower. So it's a whole lot when you have to put somebody away. And I was like, wow, we were running all over the place and all of that, and had the service. And I cried. And then, it's like your jobs give you a week of bereavement time, right? It wasn't enough. I went back in the time that I was supposed to, but it just wasn't enough for me. So I had to put the face on, like, oh, I'm back to normal, everything's okay. But I was devastated. I couldn't get used to saying that I no longer had Tony. I couldn't get used to that. So I would frequently visit his grave. I did. Kamisha says she ended up leaving her job after losing her mom. I could only imagine. Wow. Yeah, so I would visit his grave frequently, and I cannot tell you guys the number of times I went to that cemetery, because it was like, I don't know exactly how I want to describe it, but it's like I knew he was gone, but I would just go and stand there and look down at his headstone, and like, just pure unbelief is all I could say. But after a point, I had to stop going to the cemetery, because it began to drain me, and it began to cause me to be depressed. And I just, like, there were points where I would just not want to do anything. I didn't want to get up out of bed. I knew I had to, because I had to go to work to pay my bills. Yeah, Lady K. Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about, and you've had your opportunity to share that with me before, you and Pastor Twan. So I know how you feel about that. I didn't want to do anything. I absolutely did not. Hey Tanya, yes, yes, yes. It'll be a year. Yes, and we are praying for you. Of course, we were there to love on you and your family during the loss of your mom. So we are praying for you this week, especially. Um, so I put on the face, y'all, and I just kept going, and I was like, I was hurting every single day. And eventually, let me say this, you never get over it. I don't care who, immediate family, especially, you never get over it. Ever. It does get easier, if I can say that. It gets easier as time goes on, but you don't get over it. And don't let nobody tell you to get over it, because that's one of the quickest ways you want to see Pastor Will slap somebody in the face, is to tell me to get over the death of one of my siblings or my parent. Then we're going to fight. All right. Donna said, I stayed off work 10 months. And when I went back to work, I was still a mess. It took me, I'll say, at least 6 years, to start living again. I'll grieve for the rest of my life, but I'm in a place now where I can smile, where I can live and smile again. Absolutely. Absolutely. I know how you feel, because thank you, Lady K. All is well. And we declare that, and we will confess that until I just believe it. But, you never, ever get over that. And so don't let nobody tell you to get over it. But you do, guys, you do at some point have to learn how to move on. You do. Sandy said it's a difficult ordeal. Had to experience that twice. One from illness, one killed. All over national news for my baby sister. Wow, I did not know that. I didn't know that. And I'm going to pray for all of us before we get off of here today. So you have to learn how to navigate through life with some type of normalcy after you experience that loss. Like I said, you never get over it, but life has to continue for you. Life had to continue for me when I thought it was going to just completely stop. Honestly, I hadn't experienced a shock like that ever. I had never experienced loss like that. So, but you have to find, the first thing you got to do, you gotta really, really trust and believe in God and pray, that He help you. Hey, Sister Stella is on. She said, yes, it does get easier with time, but you have to keep moving forward. Absolutely. You have to, and it's going to take some time, guys. It's going to take some time. You have to learn how to move forward and try to find some type of normalcy in your life. So we lost my brother, and then 5 years later, my sister got sick, and she ended up in the hospital. And that hospital, I contend to this day that hospital helped kill her. St. Bernard on the south side, I wouldn't send a dog there. But Denise said, to point is like you just numb and you're just going through the motions of life. Absolutely. That's how I felt. That is exactly how I felt, Denise. Yes. Mom said, I haven't quite learned how to live the loss of my most immediate family. Yep. I know that it was like Halloween, Donna said, for me every day, because I didn't know who I was every day. Every day was different. Just didn't know. See, these are all true emotions that we experience, that we feel when we lose someone that we love. Lady K said, the relationship I have with my mom keeps me going. Being an only child, I had no sibling to lean on. Wow. Yeah, so you have no siblings. You were only child, lost your mom, and here I am. I had 2 siblings, and now they're both gone. So fast forward 5 years, my sister got sick, went to the hospital, went to the nursing home. I would see her frequently, and my mom and I were actually there. Sandy said I had to accept and then forgive. That's a whole nother part of the grieving process too. Accepting that this has happened and forgiving whoever needs to be forgiven, if that's possibility. And sometimes that is yourself, but that's another story. My mom and I were at the hospital when my sister passed away. We were there when she took her last breath. Lady Kamisha said you have to know that grief happens in stages and understand the stages happen in no particular order. That is true. My therapist told me that on last week. I'll tell you about that in just a minute. So we were there when my sister passed away, and that night I had to accept and process what I had just witnessed. Because with my brother, when we got to the hospital, he was already gone. My sister, we were there when it happened. We were there. My mom was holding her hand. I was standing there. And so now I've got to process this all over again, because now my brother is gone, and now my sister just passed away. So I'm in my head, now I'm like, I don't have any siblings left. So I had to wrap my mind around that whole thing. Charlotte said, when my granny died, I pretended she was back in Hawaii on vacation. I couldn't believe she was gone, but then I remembered she was gone and never coming back. She was in a better place. Yeah, I had to go through that kind of sort of too, Charlotte. So I don't remember, honestly, guys, I don't remember the first time I cried for my sister. A lot of that for me, in total honesty, total transparency, a lot of that period for me is kind of a blur. I really honestly don't remember much of it. I just don't. I don't know why. I don't remember it. The only thing I remember is I eulogized my sister, which was one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do. But God gave me the strength to do it, and I did it. But from the time that she passed away up until that funeral, I don't remember a lot. I don't know why. I'm going to talk to my therapist about that. And I remember crying at the cemetery for her. So I don't know if they say that it's a healthy way to grieve, and I don't think that I did. And that's one of the things that I'll be talking back with my therapist about. I started grief counseling last week because, and here's what I did. On September, I think it was September 6th or September 9th, I was sitting here on my couch and I forgot what I was watching. I was watching something on television. It was funny. And I reached for my phone to call my sister to laugh at her about what I had just saw. And then I had to snap out of it. Like, bro, what are you doing? She's not here. And that moment, and again, this is just me being open and honest with you guys. That moment, I lost it. I completely lost it in my house. And it felt like it was happening from the beginning all over again, right? I felt the pain of them being gone like it had just happened. And I mean, I lost it. My mom said out of nowhere while you were driving, you literally broke down, had to pull over months after your sister passed. See what I'm saying? I don't even remember that. I don't, honestly. So I don't know what the body does or what the mind does that makes you block stuff out. I guess, I don't know, repress those memories. I don't remember that. But so that night though, I went off. I was, oh God, it was horrible, right? And so I shared that on Facebook, and it was Lady Andrea Hudson that got in my comments and said, you need grief counseling. She said you should consider grief counseling. And I saw that and I said, I think she's right. And Kamisha said that is a coping mechanism. Okay. I'm going to talk to my therapist about that because it's just so much that I don't remember. And that is kind of concerning. Yes, Lady Keisha, my job has counselors, licensed counselors, therapists on site. So I get my counseling through my job. She does have a card. I don't have it, but I will gladly get it when I go back to work and provide that information because she does work outside of my job. Good evening, Kimmy. So glad you're on with us tonight. Yeah, Donna, it can hit you all of a sudden. 1 minute you're okay, then bam, out of nowhere, I still see my therapist, and that's good. That's good. I found it. Thank you, cousin Robert. Thank you so much, my cousin. I found it to be beneficial to get the grief counselor. But before I say that, let me fast forward. Now we got my brother, and then 5 years later, my sister, and then 2 years later, we lost my dad. So this is a 7-year period, people, a 7-year period. And it's like you can't even try to move on without another one leaving. And I felt like this was Groundhog's Day. You remember that movie? Like the same day kept happening every day for this guy. It felt like, oh my God, I'm going through this again, So now my dad was in the hospital suffering from dementia, and we were there. I was taking off of work. I was going up there with my mom to relieve her because she needed some rest. And this one day we decided we're going to go home and get us some rest. And they called us at like 2 a.m. That morning, next morning. Leave that comment up, Charlotte. They called us at like 2 a.m. that morning saying, hey, you guys need to get here because we think it's happening. And we hurried up and rushed up there. It may have taken us 10 minutes to get there, maybe. But by the time we got there, Daddy was gone. Wow. Tanya said a few weeks ago, we drove by Rush Hospital. Tanya, that's the same place where my dad passed. And it seems like that morning when my mom passed, because I was being strong for everyone else. Yeah, I know how that goes too, because I think that I was trying to do that for my mom as well. So my dad passed away at like 2:05, 2:06 in the morning. Oh, that's good information right there. Kamisha said, if anyone is interested in counseling, check with your employer. That's who I did. I checked. We have EAP. That's who I checked with, and that's how I got my counselor. So now here we go with the third loss. And once again, for me, a lot of that is also a blur. Because I think you just somebody said in the comments earlier, you kind of get numb, right? But we had that service, and I still from time to time have my moments, and I want to say to you that it's okay to have your moments. I don't care how many you have. It is okay. Every time you break down, it's okay. Okay? Don't let nobody tell you that it's not. Denise said I had something similar like that. It was a couple of times I called talking with my mom, and I always remember after talking with her for so long, I'd say, Mom, put Dad on the phone, and I almost said that to her, not once, but twice. See, so you know what I'm talking about. I when I went to pick up that phone, I called my sister last month. I'm like, oh God, she's not here. Kimmy said it feels like a never-ending dream, and it took me by surprise. It made me feel so weak and not sure of things anymore. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I can identify with so much of what you guys are saying, because I was feeling the same thing. And at one point, excuse me, at one point, Kamisha says she lost her dad January 16, grandmother November 16, and mom November 18. See, 3 back to back. And you wonder, if you will ever bounce back from that. Let me just talk about me. I'll talk about me. I wonder if I would ever bounce back. Love God, go to church, pray. I'm a minister. I'm all of that. But I was struggling, wondering, can I bounce back from this? I'm just being honest, y'all. Lady K said I had to give myself permission to have my moments because I didn't like the way it felt when I broke down. Wow. Okay. That's one of the topics we're going to talk about. Hey, Kiki, how are you? Thank you for joining us. So glad to see you, my friend. That's my cruise buddy, y'all, Kiki. So that's my experience. And yes, Sandy, time heals all wounds, but that timetable looks different for everybody. Let me just say that because, okay, Charlotte said, your story is just like Mike. He lost his dad, then his mom, now his brother. I was like, God, I don't think his heart can take anymore. And Charlotte, I prayed so hard for Mikey because I didn't know about his dad. I don't, unless I just don't remember, but I knew about his mom passing recently. I was there, and now his big brother, and I'm like, God, I know what that feels like to lose your big brother. I know what that's like, and I know what I experienced. So I prayed for him so hard, because it's tough, y'all. It's tough. Kim said, and it's still pretty tough not hearing her voice. She called me every morning. Co-pastor was very instrumental with my breakthrough and healing. Yeah, I know she was, and we are so happy, Kimmy, to see you, coming back to yourself. That's amazing. We thank God for that. So that's my experience, guys. And, I, like Lady Keisha said, I have said to myself that it's okay to have those moments. And I want to give you 4 ways that you could deal with grief in a healthy way. The first way, and we kind of hit on this a minute, is to allow those emotions to surface. You have to do that. Allow, like Keisha said, and I'm saying, you have to allow yourself to have those emotions. Have you ever sensed the need to cry or the need to get angry or ask questions? Don't ignore those emotions. Don't ignore those feelings. Our emotions signal sometimes something that we need. Our emotions, when we have those moments, it's our body and our mind needing something, right? And emotions drive us to action, and the action we need to take may be feeling as part of the process of letting go. I think that when we allow the emotions to surface and we have those periods of grieving and crying, I would like to believe that is another part of us that is slowly releasing that person or those people that we have lost. And it's okay. I cannot say that enough. It's okay. So one healthy way is to deal with grief is to not suppress those emotions. Don't suppress those feelings. Allow them to surface. Allow yourself to feel that. And it's going to be okay. That's a part of the process. The second thing in relation to what we just said, one of the second ways to grieve in a healthy way is to feel the feelings. Feel them. You have to allow yourself, allow those emotions to surface. And when they do surface, feel the feelings. It is okay to feel them. It's not wrong to feel this overwhelming feeling of sadness or anger. It might even be scary sometimes, because sometimes with me, it happens out of nowhere. But it's not wrong to feel that. A lot of people, I think a lot of people avoid those emotions when they come up. I don't know why. Or maybe because you, like me, like I just don't like crying. I don't really, but sometimes we avoid those feelings, and when they arise, we should actually allow ourselves to feel it, feel all of it. Some grief emotions are not that big. It's easy to deny them space in our lives. It's easy to deny those emotions and feelings space in our lives, especially when doing so seems unimportant, or sometimes it may even seem silly. It's not silly, y'all. It's not. Those are human emotions, human feelings. So it's okay to take a moment or two when they arise, to feel them and cry and release. It's okay. Sandy said, with the horrific way my sister was killed in particular, I went through many emotions. All I can say is, but God. We all grieve and heal differently. That is such a true statement. We all grieve and heal differently, which is why I said earlier, to not allow anybody to push you to hurry up and get over it. No, 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 no. We don't do that. We don't do that. Everybody deals with grief differently. And I said a little while ago, the timetable is different. It looks different for everybody. Whereas it may be a day, a month, or whatever for you, for one person to find normalcy, it may take another person a decade to find that normalcy. And if it does take that long, allow them that time. But most importantly, allow yourself that time to let the emotions come up, let them surface, and to actually feel them when they come up. Keisha said, "That's good. I'm a cry, but when I miss her, I cry like she left this morning." Yep, I said that a little while ago when that happened to me last month when I went to call my sister. The emotions and the feelings that I felt like it had just happened, and I like couldn't deal with it, right? Denise said, "That's what I was going to say. I'm so afraid to, because I know once I start crying, I just don't know where it may take me." But I'm saying to you tonight, Denise, those first 2 points that we said, number one, allow them. You have to. I'm telling you, you have to allow those emotions to come to surface. It's a healthy thing. Allow them to come up, and when they come up, it's okay to feel those feelings. It's okay. If you need to scream, cry, holler, whatever you need to do when they come, don't ignore them, because it's healthy for you and it's a way to get that out of you, right? Because some people just go on, and, to each his own. I don't know how people do it. And I think that this is one way that people lose their minds, because they don't get that grief out of them. Crying is a release. There it is. Jessica said it. Crying is a form of release and part of the healing process. Absolutely. So, Denise, allow yourself to feel that. Allow yourself to feel those feelings when they come up. And do whatever you need to do to get that release so that you could feel better. Okay. The third thing I want to give you is, you can either grieve alone or you could grieve with others. It's okay to do either one. Grieving alone offers a space to feel intense emotion without worrying about what other people say. So you might want to grieve alone. Solitary grieving is what they call it. It may be less about being alone and more about being honest with ourselves. Okay, let me say that again. Solitary grieving may be less about being alone and more about being honest with ourselves. When we grieve alone, we can let it all go. We can let it all out and honestly feel, or say whatever you feel or say. You can do what you want to do when you by yourself and nobody is there with you. So it's okay to do that. And it's also okay to grieve with other people. The Bible says in Romans chapter 12 and verse 15, rejoice with those that rejoice and mourn with those that mourn. That's a biblical commandment. So it's okay to, when we grieve with another person, we're receiving something from them and they're receiving something from us, and it is love. That's what we need, love and comfort. What we don't need is, oh, you need to get over that. No, we don't need that. We need love and comfort. Nene said, I tucked my emotions away one morning. I woke up so dizzy. Once I cried for about 2 hours. And that too will happen. That's what we're talking about. That's a healthy way to deal with it. That's when you allow the emotions to surface, and that's when you feel those feelings. You will cry like that. So much so till it'll give you a headache. Yep. The key is, Kamisha said, you have to have your moments. The key is to let them be just that, a moment. Absolutely. Because remember, we've got to live our own lives. We cannot get stuck in that moment. We cannot make that moment a lifetime. It's too much on the body. It's too much on the mind. It's too much on the heart. Kamisha also says support groups are amazing for dealing with grief. I agree with that. So yes, the third thing is to grieve alone or with others. Lady Keisha said the good thing to my grief was that even though Twan was hurting too, he helped me to process the grief stages. We love Pastor Twan. The fourth way to deal with it healthy is to allow, and this kind of goes along with number 2, allow time and space for grief. I said it earlier, there's no set timetable for grief. If someone says you've been grieving too long, they may speak from their own anxiety of feeling lost, or they're just rude. Period. Right there, okay? Others may put expectations on us about how long grief should take. However, if someone says we need to move on or we feel the need to be done with grief, you might want to check that relationship. Because you don't, if you love me, you know what I'm saying, and you know what I've experienced, you don't get to tell me how to feel. You don't get to tell me it's time to move on. You don't get to tell me to get over it. No. You don't get to do that. Grief may, but see, look, this is why you need to have your moment and allow it to be just that, a moment, and move on. Let me tell you why. Because grief will move you into depression. It'll move you into depression, a deep depression, and you cannot function when you are depressed like that. You cannot. It's important that you don't allow yourself to fall deep into depression. I did. I'm telling you why, because I did. And it was hard to come out of it. But you have to take the time to process those emotions. Don't rush the process. Don't rush it, but face the feelings, let them arise and feel them. Grieve alone, grieve with somebody, and allow yourself the space for that grieving. Now, I want to just give you a few scriptures. If while you guys are listening, if somebody can just put these in the comments, Matthew 5:4, Matthew chapter 5, verse 4. If you can put that in the comments, it says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." And my whole point for sharing this with you guys is that through all of that grief I had to experience, I absolutely had to totally depend on God. Totally, I had to depend on God. I would not, I'm telling you, I would not have made it if it had not been for God on my side. I really believe that me and my mama, laughing but very serious, I think my mom and I both would have just lost our ever-loving minds if we had not had Jesus Christ to help us through. Matthew 5:4 says, blessed are those who mourn. This is Jesus talking, for they shall be comforted. And then put Revelation 21:4. So when people going back that watch the replay, they can write these scriptures down, and you guys can write them down too. If you are still grieving, you can read these scriptures and confess them also, and it will help you get through life day by day. You can never go wrong by speaking the word of God. I want to say that to you. You can never go wrong by speaking the word of God. Revelation 21:4 says, he will wipe every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain anymore, for the former things have passed away. All right. The third, you're welcome, Donna. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys, before we finish, if you do want to sow into WTM tonight, the pays link is in the comments, and it's also scrolling on the screen. We appreciate everything that you guys do for the ministry. Psalms 34:18. Psalms 34:18 says, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Okay, that is Psalms 34:18. And then Romans 8:18. Romans 8:18 says, for I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing to the glory that is to be revealed in us. The King James Version says, for I reckon. I like that word, reckon. But yes, I want you to know that, like this verse says, I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing to the glory that is to be revealed in us. I'm telling you, and I had to tell myself, like that song says that I love so much, each one of us that are going through this, I'm telling you, if you just believe it, there will be glory after this. If you can just make it through this, I'm telling you, there's going to be glory after this. Kim said, I totally agree with you. It will have you in a deep depression. It took me over a year before I was able to stay alone, but God is a healer. Yes, he is. And we have watched you be healed, Kimmy, and we are super glad about that. 1 Peter chapter 5:7 says that we should cast all our cares and all of our anxieties on him, on Jesus Christ, because he cares for us. Absolutely. Cast every care on him because he cares for you. Do you not know that there is not a thing that you and I can experience that Jesus does not know? Huh? Do you know that? There's nothing. He experienced grief. Jesus Christ experienced grief too. Remember his friend Lazarus? He died, remember? And remember what the Bible says when Jesus got there to that gravesite? Jesus wept. He cried. He cried too. So if Jesus cried, what make you think it's not okay for you and I to cry? But we can give all of our, we can cast, the word cast means to throw. We can throw all of our cares, our grief, our pain, our tears. We can cast them all on him simply because he cares for us. And Hebrews 4:15 also lets us know that he knows and he cares about us, because it says that, for we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities. In other words, everything that you go through, you feel he's felt. And the good news about that is everything that concerns you concerns him. My goodness. And the last scripture I want to give you is Psalms 30:5, which is something that we quote often. And it says that weeping may endure for a night, but joy will come in the morning. Yes, Dr. Washington, I saw that today was your mom's birthday, and we certainly pray for you that your head be lifted in all of this too. See, these anniversaries of birthdays and death anniversaries, these are some days that have a tendency to get you down. But Psalms 30:5, weeping may endure for a night, but joy is coming in the morning. Look at how that verse sounds. Look at what it says. David said that weeping may, but joy will. I like that right there. So this tells me that I just might have a moment. I may have a moment. But even if I do have a moment, joy will come. That's a promise that God has made to us, and God always keeps his promises. So I want to say to each of you guys tonight that are suffering, that are grieving, whether it's past deaths or current deaths, I want to say to you, and I need you to remember that God cares about you. He cares about you deeply. He's into you bad. God loves you. And even though you are weeping right now, come on, there it is on the screen. Even though you are weeping right now, joy will come. I want you to be encouraged tonight and know that after this, joy is coming, glory is coming, peace is coming, happiness is coming. You will be able to get back into a place of normalcy if you lean and depend on God. Drugs can't do it. Alcohol can't do it. Sex can't do it. Church service can't do it. Hear me when I say you need to lean and depend totally on God. Yes, you should still go to church, but I'm saying some people bury themselves in church and bury themselves in work just so they don't feel, and that's unhealthy. That's not healthy. Allow yourself to feel these moments. Allow yourself to feel these moments, but just know that God loves you. And Lady Keisha said, he is concerned about what concerns us. Isn't that good news? Isn't that good news, y'all? So the scriptures have been put in the comments. I want you guys to, if you can, sow a $20 gift into the ministry tonight. And you can click the link in the comments, the pay links there, and it will give you 4 options to use Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. You can use that, or you can see them scrolling across the screen right now. You can do it that way. But whatever you do, we want you to know that we do appreciate every gift that you give to the ministry. We were supposed to have talked about dreams tonight and prophetic dreams and the interpretation of them. That's going to be probably a 2 or 3 part series because we can't get all of that into one. But after the response that I got after Sunday talking about this, I figured I should probably talk about this tonight so that others can hear my story and be encouraged by my story. Because we went through it, man. We went through it. But God brought me out. And I still have my moments, and you're going to have moments too. And that's okay to have those moments. But like Kamisha Huggins said, let it be just that, a moment. We have to find ways to live a normal life eventually. Don't rush yourself, but don't deny what you feel. When you cry, when you grieve, remember, God is there. God is right there. And you may want to, when you have, or when you feel like it, surround yourself with people that can laugh with you or even cry with you if that's what you need to do. But be with people who won't judge you and who will allow you to have your moment. And ladies and gentlemen, after you have your moment, keep living. Don't allow grief to cripple you. Don't allow it to keep you from going to work. Don't allow it from keep you to going to church. Don't allow it to keep you from taking care of your family. Feel the feelings. Allow them to surface, right? But always, and I can't stress this enough, don't stop leaning and depending on God, because weeping may endure for a night, but joy will come for you in the morning. How long is the night is the question. We don't know how long the night is, but I do know that if you stay with God, morning is coming, and you will experience the joy of God once again in your life, just as I have. So I love you. I love each and every one of you. And I want to thank you for taking time out to tune into the Self-Checkout Show, where we take an honest look at what's in our hearts, minds, and spirits. Those of you that are sowing, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for your gifts. Those that will sow, you can get the information from across the screen, or just tap the link that I have pinned in the comments. Crying is a form of healing. Stay close to God and tell him all about it. He cares about everything that concerns us. And I'm going to end with that right there, because that's all that needs to be said. Thank you, Kimmy. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the show tonight. We'll be back next Wednesday night at 7 p.m. and we're going to start our series on dreams, prophetic dreams, and the interpretation of them. Tell somebody about it. I love you. I'll see you guys next week.